What's up, everybody? My name is Joshua Valentine. I am a local cinematographer in the Upper Cumberland, Tennessee area for now. And today I'm going to talk about a project I worked on, or a couple of projects I worked on this week called Hangman and unnamed one because I'm still working on it. I think that it's really easy to say that we need to make something perfect before we make anything at all. My brother challenged me to say that if you're not making anything at all, you're not making any difference at all. So, for the next few months, I'm going to be making 2 projects a week. They don't have to be perfect, they don't have to be great, but these 2 in particular were very interesting because I literally got up, told my friends, let's make something, came up with an idea in 30 minutes, filmed it in about 2 hours, edited it in an hour, and they came together. Not perfect, not bad, but hey, they are what they are. I think it's easy to try to become perfectionists as artists because we see everybody else's that's perfect. But I would like to be a little bit vulnerable in this time, to be honest, and say that not everything I'm making is perfect, but see the progression that if you start making things now, they will get better. But if you don't make anything, it won't get any better. So we're going to take a look at some of the scenes from those short films, a little bit of the color grading and what I did there, and then we'll come back and wrap it up. Alrighty, to start us off, I am shooting on the A6300, a really mid-range level camera with some good quality images coming out of it, and I'm using a Nikon 50mm 1.4 super cheap lens. Nothing fancy here. I got ambience audio with a really cheap shotgun mic and a good preamp system. So the scene itself, I panned down to give a revealing shot of the truck that's coming from over here, and there is no external lighting here. I just had the exposure set, and there was a pole here shining down to where he was driving, so it kind of revealed his car, and it was really dramatic. I shot it in S-Log3, so it was a little grainy because it was dark outside, and I definitely didn't overexpose my one stop like I was supposed to. But all in all, I think the shot's a lot of fun. He's coming somewhere, and then it's revealing downwards. Next shot, super simple. It was just him tying his tie, and originally he had it completely untied, but the pacing was just too long, and it was really uncomfortable. But something that I noticed here as I was lighting the scene is I had a Yagino YN300, really cheap $30 light, hitting this direction, kind of hitting towards him, and it lit him up really well, and it gave him this really nice exposure, and it kind of looks cool and dramatic. But the issue that I found and a mistake I made was, if you look in this scene, it's like a tungsten-y warm feeling, which feels natural, but then it switches to this like cold look. And it was an S-Log, and I put 2 LUTs on it, so it gave it this like teal in the shadows, and then some warmth in the highlights. But if you notice, it's just inconsistent. It's not a huge issue, but that's definitely a mistake I made. But the scening of this I thought was really fun. He's over here, his face is not being revealed, so it's like kind of mysterious, but you see him tying his tie, which sets up some stuff for the rest of the scene. The next scene is probably my favorite. He's walking from his car after coming out of the car over toward what is a mysterious figure that's out of focus. So you're in the same setting. We're kind of highlighting some light right here to reveal something later. And then just like you see a lot of fun bokeh here, some fun silhouettes. It's almost like a nice revealing scene, and I love this scene because he's walking toward him, which is going to be fun for the next scene. And then it just looks really mysterious. This emphasis is on this out of focus character. Whenever he finally comes over, we do a focus transition where it goes all out of focus and then crossfades into this. So right here, you have this still out of focus character fading into here. So it switches perspectives. And in this scene, again, we have the Yagino YN300 Mark III over here, shining as a backlight onto him, which is going to be a lovely hair light. I really like this scene. And then we have another Yagino right here shining towards him as a key light. And some people don't like the light to be in the scene, but I really like it. I think it adds a lot of, like, if you do it right, this kind of looks like a street light. It kind of looks like just a few different, it could be anything, and it doesn't really have to be explained, but it's in the scene, and it adds something for him to be hidden right here to come around and be right here, which I'll show in the next scene. But something I really loved about this was I had this here. You can kind of see the stand right there, but I put a gradient around this, made it really gradient, and then I just blurred it, and I made the brightness out. So it almost made it look like a dwarf star, which was a lot of fun. You can kind of tell the light is right there in the center, and then it kind of just fades out. But then in the next scene, he comes out, You've got your hair light on the back. Really lovely. I love it. And then he's kind of conversating back, and he looks back, and then there's some that interesting dialogue, but you see there's some depth between them. So he's kind of out of focus, and the emphasis is on him. And the next scene, it's that idea again. He's out of focus here in the foreground, and so you don't always have to have the out of focus stuff in the background. And then in the main area, you have him in focus talking, feeling some distance between them. So you have that hair light, that backlight hitting his back, and then you have that face light over here hitting his face. A lot of fun. There's some dialogue between them, and it moves into this shot, the main dialogue between the two. And I really am enjoying this shot particularly. It adds so much depth to the whole thing, to move from looking at him from behind than seeing his face. Because at the beginning of the thing, you don't even see the main villain's face until this scene here. So it's like a reveal, still feels distant, then the dialogue. So it's like there's a little bit more personal connection here. And then it moves into him grabbing his hand, some frustration there. He's trying to plead for his life. And then just without any explanation, we move into the next scene right here where he's thrown into the trash, or really whatever you kind of want to feel there. We were originally going to have him take off his tie and choke him out, but we were like, nah, let's just let it be mysterious. And there was a key light over here, the shining on him as a key, illuminating this here, and it just added some interest. But as he goes over to his car after shutting the dumpster, he slowly goes out of focus and in and out of darkness. So it just adds some depth. Again, there's not a lot of light around here except for on the car, which is coming from a street light, and it just makes it feel very natural, and you almost feel like this is another street light. So everything is kind of not emphasized with the lighting. Again, the lighting's supposed to blend in with everything that's going on, but it makes him stand out. It makes what's going on stand out. And in the next scene, there was another scene. It just was total trash, so I didn't even include it in this, and that's okay. Sometimes your scenes you just regret. The big thing is don't just shoot a scene because you want to shoot it. Shoot it because you want it to be amazing. And you have this, which was supposed to emphasize that he was like Mr. Hangman. Well, zoomed in there. Mr. Hangman is being a baller shot caller like always. You know how it is. So it just goes from there into the final sequence of his sweater hanging out of the trash can to emphasize that he was in the trash. Him leaving, again, the natural street lights, a light right here illuminating him, separating the foreground from the background with some color, a little tungsteny, a little normal daylight. So it brings intrigue, it brings interest. But the whole point of all of these scenes and what makes the lighting and everything so interesting is that this whole thing was shot with about $80 worth of lighting equipment, and then $120 worth of audio. So that's $200. And then you get to say, well, you had the A6300 and the lens. No, $200 worth of equipment is what made this film possible. You have the two actors, which were just two friends. They weren't like, they're not Spielberg. They don't have to be Spielberg. But $200 worth of lighting and audio. You can use your Canon T2i. You can use whatever to make all of this possible. Super easy. Use free editing software. Used a laptop. I could have edited this on any laptop. The cheaper the camera, the easier the laptop. So the whole point of it is don't let a number limit you. You can make $200, and let's say you work $7 an hour at a job, and you don't have to pay for anything. $7.25. You're living at home with your parents. You're not paying any bills. $7.25. We'll get a calculator. Calculator. $7.25. 200 divided by 7.25 is 27 hours. So in 1 week, if you work for $7.25, you can make $200, buy this equipment, and make a really decent film. Or you could have no lighting equipment, use what you have, and you're great. But if you get really professional results out of a week's worth of work, super easy. So the limitations you're having are not what you have, but what you're willing to get, what you're willing to do with what you've got, and what you're willing to realize is that there is not as many limitations as you're letting it seem like. Big difference is a lot of mistakes in this. None of this was perfect. This was shot in about 2 hours was how long we had to shoot, and then we came up with the idea in 30 minutes before we started shooting, and then even with that, we edited it in about an hour. Nothing fancy here. This isn't a Spielberg, but this scene in particular, it felt right. There was something intriguing about this. I would use this on a reel because I saw something, I wanted to make it a reality. I watched a lot of movies, and I made something. Could have been crappy, could have been great. I just made another short film here recently. It wasn't that great, but I made it. And to be consistently making things so that you can look back on your projects and can say, why was this great? Why was that not great? Why was all of this that? Why was that these? And why is it cool that there's a silhouette? Why is it cool that this is out of focus and he's in focus and he's going here? And why is this shot bad or this shot good or whatever? It's you have to be willing to ask these questions and ask what's important, what's good.
So it's easy to not look at all of the different things that really make it beneficial. I'm going to do a video about the rig I've been using and I'm shooting on right now, and it's basically made making films just way easier as far as battery life, handling, it looks cool so it's fun to use, and audio, which is just the biggest thing in the world. Shooting on the A6300, you can use a G7, you can use a T2i, as long as you challenge yourself to spend more money on the things that matter and to spend more time, less looking up, more shooting, more doing, you're going to have a lot more fun as a filmmaker. But if you limit yourself to the camera you're using, you are going to hate your life. Bottom line is, do something. Don't limit yourself to what you think you can do and what you should do. Go out and shoot something. My name is Joshua Valentine, and this has been a show that is unnamed. And until the next time, shoot something spicy.